I'm so tired today. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm tired. I woke up 30 minutes before the stream instead of an hour before the stream, and I could have kept sleeping forever. So tired. But today is Pokemon Day, and I'll be damned if I do not play Pokemon on Pokemon Day. I will play Pokemon on Pokemon Day. I gotta do it. It's important. Very important. Okay. What are we doing? All my guys have leveled up a lot. Fresco's a little bit behind. That's okay. And it is time to evolve Tempera. Tempera's evolving. I didn't let her evolve basically all weekend. So there we go. Yay! So everyone's all good. We just gotta go. We gotta wait for nighttime. We gotta wait for nighttime, and then we gotta go fight some people for a ticket. Yeah, 2 Pokeballs. My camera's not in the right spot. I heard your cat was a menace this morning. There we go, that's better. I'm slouching, but I'm not slouching that much. Yeah, I heard she was a real menace. Breaking all your shit. Oh, there's the drift. I feel like that is the vibe though. Like your cat is either like a perfect little angel or a devil sent from hell. There is no in-between. And it depends on their mood. It's just like children. So I've heard. According to my mom. Either, you know, a complete little angel baby, or the worst creature you've ever seen in your life. That was me as a child. That's not what I meant to press. Teleport's not gonna do shit. There we go. It's a good thing there's no move limits anymore. Oh wow, that I have to do all of these individually because they're just almost. Come on, I want Fresco to level up to 20 before I do this. Not for any particular reason, just that everyone else is level 20. Come on, Fresco. Yeah, there we go. Also, I gotta collect all these mega shards. Ooh, magical leaf. Oh, can't evolve. Wait, is there anything I have to do? It just has to be female, right? For Gardevoir? There's not anything like actually that I have to do. I better look this up. Gardevoir. Good morning, Ham. Yeah, you need a Dawnstone for Gallade. But for Gardevoir, it's just level up. Okay. Evolve. Evolve. Yay! Good morning from my good morning. That's how I'm feeling too, yeah. Yep. That's about right. Oh, she's so cute. Yeah. She's a cutie. Oh yeah, I want to teach her magical leap. Teleport has not been helpful. 66. Yeah, teleport has not really been helpful. Why don't you test it out? Yeah, that's my girl. Ah, look at her, she's so cute. She's so cute. Look at her little walk. She's such a little lady. Aww. Little lady that can Psybeam. It's fucking horrifying, by the way. Go towards the quest marker now. Not going away from the quest markers anymore. I'm probably gonna get back in bed and attempt a micro nap after I finish digesting. I didn't get to eat breakfast this morning. I woke up 30 minutes ago, and that is not enough time for me to get breakfast and eat it. So I just sat here. Oh, sorry, buddy, I didn't mean to scare you. Yeah. For a second, I read that as, I noticed you went downstairs, and I was like, no. I haven't been that dissociated. I woke up and I was like, where am I? I looked at the time expecting it to be like 7:30, and it was 8:30. Buddy Snatcher. Did I miss the quest marker? Oh, is it in here? Oops. Yeah. So, oh, the Abra just slid in. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to battle this chestbin. I'm not gonna do that right now. I gotta figure out where the heck I'm going. There we go. There's a thing. Oh, I don't think I can fight this guy yet. Yeah, I gotta go get a challenger's ticket. So I was fucking around until nighttime. There's a new Pokemon game? Isn't it this one? Or do you mean the goopy Animal Crossing? Which I'm also gonna play. Yeah, this one. It's the one I'm playing. Alright. I don't know what's happening here, but I think you're trying to confuse me in my altered mental state, and you know, I'm not sure I appreciate. So this is gonna kind of be a Pokemonth. Wow. Okay. Cause I'll be playing Pokemon ZA as long as you guys are watching. Until I finish it, of course. But we will also be playing Pokemon X and Y on Wednesdays. I was interested in the Goopy Droopy one until I saw that Nintendo plans to charge $70 for it as a GKC. What's a GKC? Game key card. Oh, no data on the card. Oh, that's just all Nintendo Switch 2 games. That's just all Switch 2 games. That's just all Nintendo games now. We kind of... pretty much. Anyways, I buy all of my games from the eShop, so it doesn't affect me. They're gonna take all of my games whether I like it or not. Because if I don't do that, I lose them. So... yeah, it literally doesn't matter for me. They could at any point just wipe my game library. And that's how I live my life. Are they not doing that for all games now? I thought that was just all games. But yeah, I pay full price for downloads. It was never all games. Oh. Okay, I'm bad at this rolling thing. Let's go find the battle zone. What's the freaking button? There we go. Yeah. See, I'm not upset at the $70 thing. will tell you why I'm not upset at the $70 thing, and the answer is... games now cost less than a dinner out with a family of 4, let's say. And... I'm not upset at the price of games, because when games were first coming out, it was basically like... Well, right, but like, when games were first coming out, that's kind of how expensive they were compared to other things, and they're not anymore. And yeah, they're still expensive, like, compared to income, but everything's expensive compared to income, and it's just kind of... That's what my dad said. So please don't laugh at my knowledge. It may not have been 4. I'm very bad at numbers. The answer is... my dad was there. My dad was there when that was happening, so it's not... I believe him. I'm not gonna argue. But anyways, I'm not mad at the price of games. That's all. It takes a lot of time and effort to produce games, and I believe data that exists because it's data and it's better than human memory. Shitty thing to say, bro. Like, yeah, sure, but you're also just directly telling me that my dad's memory is wrong, and I don't like that. Anyways. Just sneak up on this guy. Yeah, Pikachu's little steppies are so cute. Ah, I'm so bad at sneaking. So, in the future, not to say that people can't have their own opinions, but if I seem like I'm excited about something, can we not like argue and like try to put me down for being excited, basically? Because that kind of ruins my whole mood. And that makes the stream not fun. So let's be nice. It may not have been your intention, but it did happen. So, Yeah. I try very hard to be positive. But, you know, it's fine. I'm just sensitive, that's all. Don't worry about it. It was me trying to explain something, and you basically, while I was trying to explain my experience and my knowledge, you put a lol in your message, and that makes it feel like you're laughing at me. And that's kind of one of my big triggers, unfortunately. I was bullied as a child. Oh boy. I try not to do this on stream. Anyways, it's fine. Everything's fine. And we move on. I just kicked this guy's ass in one move. Let's fucking go. I appreciate that. I know it wasn't your intent, and you were trying to explain like your side of things. Like I said, I'm just a little sensitive sometimes. Look at all these cards. There's like one more guy somewhere, probably on the roof. Oh. Yeah. There's a guy over there. What does he got? Go get him. Come on, bro. Got him. Couple beam. Whoa. I thought you were dead. Thank you, Dan. That's very sweet. My god, Dig is so annoying. It was annoying in previous games, and it's still annoying. That didn't do anything. God damn. Oh gosh. Flying type. Flying type. Can't use dig against a flying type. Bitch. Yes, I love my fox too. She's beautiful. Fox thing. Yes, magical girl fox thing. I love her. She's my baby. Oh my god! Where did this bee drill come from? No, I don't want to fight the bee drill! I want to heal my guys! Yeah, it's kind of difficult to... Alright, fuck. No, yeah, it's hard to... Yeah, Phyrexian. It is hard to sneak up on people. Bellsprout. Aw, sorry, Bellsprout. Wrecked. Get wrecked, Bellsprout. Fucking Bellsprout. Who the fuck? I'm hungry. I'm so hungry, actually. My body has finally caught up with the fact that I'm awake. And it went, oh, you have not eaten any food. I did not mean to call myself a hoe, but you know, it's fine. I like the Bellsprout noises. It's like adults in Charlie Brown. Absolutely is. You're so right. Alright. We're done here. Let's go fight that guy. Can I get this colorful screw here? Nice. Nice. Gotta get all these coins. Coins! Give me them coins. Give me them coins. I need them. I wonder if I should just like... I could DoorDash myself breakfast. No, I promised myself that I wouldn't spend any money. I'm trying to save up for a Switch 2. And I can't spend any money. Don't look at me! Don't look at me! I can't spend money like that. I don't get a lot of money. It would be nice to DoorDash myself some food. But we have food literally downstairs and I could go get food, but it would take longer and I would have to stream less. And I don't like streaming less. I like streaming more. My guys are fucking dead. What am I doing? What on the Pokemon Center, you dumbass? Alright. I'd like to heal my Pokemon. Please to heal Pokemon. I wish I've said it before, but I really, really wish that I could swap what Pokeball my Pokemon are in. Because it would be so cute. Bamboo in that tree. Alright. Stop. How do I get in here? How do I get in here? I don't remember. I need to learn better instant cooking, not like microwaving, like proper cooking of a huge meal in a few seconds. Like when you make camp food in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I have a favorite frozen pasta, right? And that's kind of one of my safe foods. You gotta eat it like a fucking psychopath. So I have a favorite frozen pasta, right? I eat it basically constantly. Lately, it's been almost every meal. Although I cooked twice last weekend, so... You know. My cat is here meowing at me over and over. We were just talking about how cats are either perfect baby angels or complete menaces, and there's no in between. Alright, let's... He's so short! I didn't realize how short he was. I laugh because I am short. This is what this POV, you're Jack looking up at everybody. I'm gonna reach rank A first. But anyways, yeah, so I have this frozen pasta that I really like. It's been my safe food. I've been eating it for like every meal. My brother has also decided that he likes it. So I remembered the same brand that makes my frozen pasta makes a jarred version of the sauce. So, and that's shelf stable, I think. So, it's the Rouse frozen penne alla vodka, which is terrible pronunciation, I'm sure. But, But yeah, so yeah, Rouse is good sauce. But they have a jarred vodka sauce, and I could just buy penne. And like no biggie. Bingo bongo, if I run out of my frozen pasta, I could just make it, basically. No problem. I need better moves. I need better moves on Mosaic. Is it like Chef Boyardee? No. It's like real pasta. That's why I like it. I don't actually like Chef Boyardee, sorry. Youch. Stop putting spikes down, bitch. This whole team with the spikes. Anyways. Yeah, it's like real pasta. That's frozen, and if you follow the instructions, it like still is al dente, which is crazy because I really like my pasta al dente. Like some people will tell me, some people will be like, Jack, like your pasta is too al dente. Like it's not crunchy. I don't like it crunchy. Oh my god, this broke. These moves take so long to like load. Mushy pasta is evil, but I have had some people tell me that my pasta is too cooksy. They're wrong. But I also do I cook my pasta basically with like box instructions, right? I cook it like just to the low end. You know, they'll give you like a time. It's like 6 to 7 minutes. I'll cook it for 6. I don't think I've ever made pizza bagels homemade, and now I feel like this is a massive oversight in my part. Oh, Bleck does that all the time. Making pizza bagels. It's a very happy medium between actual food and no effort food. Yeah, because you can like put it back in the oven. So you can make it and then you put it in the fridge for later. Or you could probably even freeze them. Probably even just like freeze them. Rank up. Rank W for winner. Yay! A pizza on a bagel? You can eat pizza anytime. Anyways, this food discussion is not helping my hunger. I'm fighting with myself. I used to have Treat Stream. Maybe I should get that back. I used to have sushi for any meal when I lived in San Diego. It was amazing. Time for VTuber crunchies. I don't have any food. I'd have to go downstairs and like pause the stream. I don't know. I'll eventually get hungry enough that I'll either make a decision to DoorDash something or I'll go downstairs and make something. But I'm feeling really lazy right now, but I'm trying not to spend money, so, you know. Anyways, I used to have Treat Stream, so like viewers could buy me food. Nobody ever did it, but I don't know. Maybe if you guys are interested in that, I will, I'll bring it back. Encouragement. have that, but there's only one item available. Treat stream? Yeah. I had like boba and sushi burritos on it because there's this really good sushi burrito place near me. Is it ham? That's cannibalism. It is? I'm not paying attention at all, I'm sorry. They're talking about how croissant curry is good. You can send me ham while I'm streaming. That is tempting. You have it set up on the timer, right? No one's done it yet. I assume someone will for the bit one day. Probably once I've completely forgotten I send it up. Tech support just comes in like, someone sent you ham? Ham o'clock. Could be your go live message. Because some people just have it set to one thing. You could be like, it's ham o'clock. How's Hotel Life treating you? It's been amazing. I like it here. In Hotel Z. Honestly, not sure what to put in those most of the time. Same. It's like a second title. But I feel like with titles, you have to make it universally appealing, but you could put inside jokes in the go live message because it's just your followers. A what and a what? Wouldn't you like to have more guests, Az? I do not mind the quiet. This place was intended to be my final residence. That is why I called it Hotel Z. And if the hotel were to become busy, all of you in Team MC might be obligated to help out, in turn preventing you from taking part in the ZA Royale. I'm fine with things as they are. Dan hasn't streamed in a while because he's setting up an entire immersive experience of horrors. Wow. Impressive. Oh, sorry, I gotta go practice. Let's chat more later, Jack. Okay. The goal of the day. You seem somehow agitated. Oh no, Lita forgot her stuff. I have them rigged in OBS with my stream deck. One puts on a submerged water filter with tentacles. The other's like 20 plus dancing cat gifts because what stream would be even better with 20 plus dancing cats? That's so funny. Oh yeah, I gotta go give Rita her stuff. Az is like, go fight her. Okay. What am I doing? Changing outfit. Is a stream deck worth it? I think it is. I kind of need mine as a VTuber. It's a lot easier to like reset my position and all sorts of stuff. I can program menus and submenus of so many things. It made life so much easier when I was hosting D&D online. Oh yeah, for D&D, that's a good idea. I had filters for smoke and fog, and entire subfolders of different NPCs they might encounter, different backgrounds, and the world's most uncomfortable please wait screen. That's so funny. I thought I had a green in here. I have green overalls. Could do the bleached denim. I need more color. Do I have any more colors or shoes? I don't think so. I think it's just these. Yeah. That's cute. Really cute. I like it with the navy. It's a cute little outfit. Man, all of the subfolders though, I feel like I would get lost in my own stream deck. No time for alpha Pokemon, Naveen. I gotta go find Lita. Fight Lita. Time to fight her. But yeah, I use my stream deck to sort of automate things like going between scenes and stuff. It's like more work than I would put into it for sure. Yeah. But like for my stream, right? It has things like switching between scenes, muting my microphone. It has a bunch of stuff I don't use anymore, and I need to kind of clean it up. But it also has things like the lighting on my VTuber, which I actually don't have set up on this one. And like going from this position to this position. I'm particularly proud of the Lich Twins character art I'd set up. They had stages of visibility and disguises, and I could swap between them at any point. They also ran their own version of like a shenanigans slash ice cream parlor type establishment in town, where they discreetly served the undead. Nice. Made them important to the rest of the campaign. That's so cool. I would love to have a good like D&D setup with screens and stuff. Cause I don't play online. I play but I would love to have like character art on my DM screen. So like there's a screen within the DM screen that like I can show off stuff. Basically, the party had to begrudgingly work with known liches. Look at Staryu. Can't wait to have a table again. Yeah. I can't wait to do D&D on stream. I think that's gonna be so much fun. It probably won't happen for a while. You forgot your stuff. When is that happening? That's happening after Baldur's Gate 3, theoretically. There's a lot of stuff going on with the people that are playing in that, and I don't know exactly who's playing in that. It may happen before we're done with Baldur's Gate 3, just because I know that some people may be busy upcoming, so I've never finished Act 3. Me neither. I've never started Act 3. And so far we still have not started Act 3, basically, so Lita and Tierno would get along well, and I like that a lot. That's so cool. Tierno trying to create a dance team of Pokemon. I don't feel like voice acting, sorry. Yeah, okay. I'll fight you. That's fine. I don't know who I'm throwing out. Look at her little dance! She's so cute. Oh, she's got a dive ball. We need a Pokemon and Just Dance crossover. That would be so cool. Shoot. Killed at the same time. Is anyone else's post-holiday fridge a complete nightmare? In what way? I feel like our fridge is pretty normal at this point. So many leftovers and odds and ends. Oh no, we don't have leftovers in this house. That happened to us the weekend after Christmas. But by this point, it's back to normal. That's fair. Well, and it's just 2 of you. We have 8 people in this house. 8. There's 8 of us. So leftovers, not a thing. I have like so much pasta and half bottle of champagne and cheeses. Yeah, that pasta and the cheese would be gone in an instant in this house. It would not last a second. I have cookies, homemade cookies, homemade cookies. The cookies went fast also. In fact, I had like 2 of them, I think. Maybe 3. And then I went to my dad's for the weekend and I came back and the cookies were gone. So, I want to make muffins this week, blueberry muffins. I don't know why, I just be like craving the blueberry muffins. I brought home like 3 huge grocery bags full of cookies. That is the dream. Zopf? I don't think I've ever heard of that. Wintawo. It's a Swiss bread like challah. Oh, cool. I love challah. I don't have enough throat for Jewish. I can't roll my R's and I don't have that like kind of sound. Like I can do it, but I have to really try. And anise pazels? Oh, pizzel. Pizzel. Pizzella? I don't know. The Italian one. I know what you're talking about. That is Pizzelle. Pizzel? Pizza? I put an extra L in there. Oh well. Thank you, Moxie. See you, Lita. Maybe 2 L's. I don't know. Pizza bagel. Alright. I gotta go figure out something for breakfast. If I'm not back, if I can't figure it out in like 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes, then I will probably come back and just DoorDash myself something. Because I don't want to leave you guys waiting too long, but it's fine, because we have fan art on the BRB screen. If you want your fan art on the BRB screen, just submit it to me wherever you want to, probably in the Blecking crew. Please share your fan art. I appreciate all fan art. All right, see you guys in a second. I gotta go get DoorDash me a biscuit. It doesn't matter how good you think your art is. I love all of it. Give it to me. I want to eat it. Nom nom. Here you go. Fan art time. Alright, what have you degenerates been talking about? Is Jack on the right my favorite way they've drawn themselves? Aw, thank you, Ham. Your body is crying out for a vegetable. Oh, what? Ooh, the chonky dragon! Excellent. Good. Everyone needs a chonky dragon. Alright, I got some of my leftover Korean beef and rice, and then I topped it with a couple of fried eggs because why not? And some appy juice! Appy juice. Ooh, the egg is really good with this. I wasn't sure how it would work, but it's really good. An episode of Dave the Barbarian in which the whole family becomes baby. One of them keeps out asking for apple juice. It's been a vocal stiff since 2006 for me. Excellent. That's just me. I'm baby asking for apple juice all the time. Okay. Yay, appy juice. Gotta wait for sunset again. That's okay. It just means we can run around and collect things that will give us money for more clothes. Because I have to wait a long ass time to get my Frostlass. Actually, you know what we can do while we're waiting? Is we can look for Flabébés. I'm looking up where to find them. I think I want to be here. Egg was a really good choice for this. You into taking photos? Not really. So, someone said you can find all Flabébés on top of the Justice Dojo, which is here. How do I get on top of it? need to get to the roots. Somehow. Gotta look around for a ladder. Oh, there's a ladder. Like someone saying baby weirdly? Yeah. Ooh, yeah, here. Is that an alpha floette? Or alpha flabebe? How have I already been hit? Flabebe had its HP restored. I can kill this. Oh my god. Don't hit me, don't hit me, don't hit me. Wait, I thought Bug was good against... Oh, Flabebe is not grass type, it's fairy type. Ah. Oh, my ears are ringing in real life. Wow, this immersion. Any steel type moves. Jack playing Pal World would be very good. I'm not interested in Pal World. Alright. Alright, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done. I am not equipped to get the Alpha Flabebe. Well, but I'm not gonna pay for a game. That's just gonna make me upset. Oh my god. Choice content. You guys are so mean to me. I didn't get a Steam friend request from anyone. So, I don't know what Jack Draws games you found, but it wasn't me. Apparently you can find every color of Flabebe up here. But there's just an alpha red one? There's a Dratini. Whatever. But I didn't get a friend request. Like oh, I do. From the handsome Dan and Cold Canada. No, I do. It just didn't tell me for some reason. Ham, is that you, Cold Canada? Oh, sorry. Well, I don't want to accept random people. Alright, we can be friends. One day I'll have to make a boundary as streamer and chat, but today is not that day. I thought you were already inside my walls. I don't know. Should I have not accepted that friend request? I mean, once there's 1,000 of us, then yeah, don't add people from chat. Yeah. But you guys are okay. Part of the Blacking Crew founders. Mabel, I gotta go fight people. We're kind of weird, but we alright. Yeah, okay. We have a few minutes. Yeah. This is top tier crew here. Alright, let's go see what Mabel wants. Oh my god. What am I supposed to do? You're generally pretty interesting. Wow. Oh no, chat, what do I do? Pick them all. Clefairy. There's so many handsome Dans on Steam. What do I do? Blick, what did you pick? And do you know what Penny picked? Because that'll help. And then like 200 results? Wow. You didn't do this? Happy juice. Does that mean I get to pick first? Well, which one do you want? I assume you want Charizard. I already have a Charizard. I have an Alpha Charizard. So that eliminates Charmander. Even though I love him. He's a good little boy. Bulbasaur. I have a Blastoise in my Pokemon X game currently, and I'll probably pick him again when we do the stream. So I will pick Bulbasaur. He's so cute. Alright, I'm gonna replace Bunnelby with Bulbasaur, but oh, he's so cute. I'm gonna get a Frostlass for that spot. And also he's level 5? So he's gonna be here for moral support. He's in the team for moral support. He's here to be a happy, good little boy. I'm not naming him. He's not staying as part of the permanent team, but he's gonna be there. He'll be here hanging out with us. There's a colorful screw up here. There we go. I got it. Should I be picking up these mega shards? Yes. Am I? No. See what's in here. My goal is to collect all of the fashion. But starting with... This guy's skirt is just not for me. We'll do these. It's not what I said. It's not what I said. It's not what I'm called. No, I ran out of money! Dang it. Another pair of shoes would be nice. There we go. That's a cute outfit. Wait, let me look at colors here. Yeah, this is the best color combination for now. Gotta get there from the roof. But yeah, my goal for this game is to buy all of the fashion. And part of the reason for that is one of my friends was like, I just want to dress up. I just want to play dress up in this game. And I was like, I could make that happen. So now my goal is to get all of the fashion so that my friend can play dress up. I don't know where the thing's gonna be. Eventually I gotta be like systematic about getting all of the fashion, but for now I'm just gonna... So you're doing all the work then? Well, I don't think they have the game. And I thought it would be fun also. Does that make you the breadwinner? We are not beating the dating allegations. See, this particular friend has said that they had a crush on me at one point. How do I say this? Our preferences don't line up for us to actually be able to date, and I don't think of them that way. But they have had feelings for me at some points. Which has been memed with our friend group forever. So basically anytime it could possibly come up, it comes up. And it's a little bit tiring, but you know, it's you know, it's kind of funny still, maybe. But yeah. So there a colorful screw up here. There is. I hope they're okay with that. You know, I don't joke about it. They're mostly the one who jokes about it. Oh, it's this one. I would not be psyched to have my feelings memed. They're the type of person who would say something if they didn't like it. They're very direct. So I wouldn't worry about that. I think if they had a problem, they would tell us. I hope so anyways. I've never known them to like hide something that they were feeling, so I think they're okay with it. And if they're not, and they haven't told me, I would be questioning why. Because they're very direct. They're very autistic. Nice. The autism was implied. Basically, our entire friend group was is autistic in some way. Guaranteed. If someone is part of our friend group, they're autistic. But yeah, so our friends like to make fun of us for acting like we're a couple. It's not my favorite joke, but it isn't harming anything. It bothers me a little bit when it goes too far, but it's not that big a deal. It doesn't often go too far, you know? And I usually tell them, like, hey, that was too far. So, our friend group is pretty good at... Our friend group is pretty good at that. Should've done that one the first time. Well, this is why you pay attention to the tight matching. As long as it's friendly. Ribbing. And nothing else, it's all good. Yeah. That's the number one benefit of autistic friends in my experience. You can just be honest and they'll take it to heart. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, lemonade. Thank you. I love lemonade. Citrus? I love citrus. Timing of that typo. Bad. Bad. Bad typo. What does it think is in there? Oh, no, you don't see me. You don't see me. Oh, thank God. No, I know it wasn't the intent. Get him. There you go. Oh yeah, look at those points. Oh, it's so close. There's so much scaffolding over here. When do I get more wild zones is the question. Dang it. I'm bad at parkour. What you get for turning your back, bitch? If you're wild enough to handle them. Gosh, you can see my Joy-Con drift. My poor Joy-Cons. I need to replace the sticks again. Challenger's ticket acquired. Let's get these medals. Oh, have I not fought you yet? I thought I already fought everyone in here. Baby. Kill the baby. That's really awful. I shouldn't say things like that. Someone's gonna take that out of context. Uh-oh, him got censored. Do the tokens translate directly to, do the tokens translate directly to money? Or not? Let's get out of here. I'm done. I'm tired of this, Grandpa! No! Don't clip me! Don't clip me saying bad things! You don't want clips? No, I do want clips. I do want clips. I do. I'm scared. I'm scared of the clips. I'm terrified. Listen, I'm impulsive. Just never say anything bad. Oh no, I grew up on Dan and Phil. That's impossible. Alright, let's just run. Oh no, I chose wrong. Where am I going? Into a wall. Help! Help, I'm stuck! I gotta run. I never even say- I never say anything even a little bad or misinterpretable. Sure. Sure. Never any awkward typos. Nothing that would ever get you in trouble taken out of context. Nothing that would cause an HR violation. Everything is terrible. Yeah, that's 2 colors of Flabébé. And there's more colorful flowers there. There's some orange there as well, so maybe a possible place to get orange Flabébé. Yep, you've collected all kinds of Pokemon. That means you're strong. Okay. Okay, Wintawo. Wintawo! What Pokemon do you have, Wintawo? Bon appetit and good luck. Okay. I think Jack has hit their bully era. Nah, I'm just unmasking. Nah, it's cool. Couldn't you tell? I have blue hair and pronouns. Why did you miss with Ember? Also, why do you still only have Ember? Let's take a look at that. Sweet facade is dropping. I gotta get strong first. damn it.
Steam gift card? Dang. I had blue hair for a decade, now it's green, but first it was purple, and then a blend of aqua and purple, like super duper hippie liberal. A new friend request? Oh, no, I don't. It just said I had a new friend request for no reason. Okay, cool. That's so weird. Steam! Steam, what? Steam, what the heck? Gosh, all these Pokemon got freaking protect. Got him. Did you build a copy of Monaco? It's a phenomenal indie game. Oh! You sent me a game? That's so sweet. I don't have any notifications about anything. That's cool. I'll probably get it later. Now we can do heists. What kind of game is it? Did your first name appear as Jack in Steam? Because if not, then it might not be going through. It should be Jack Draws Games? It should just be Jack Draws Games. I don't see any kind of like first name thing. Steam asks for the user's first name and not just the username? Huh. Weird. You still can't send links. Yeah, I mean, I could just look it up on the store. What's yours is mine, huh? Oh, interesting. I'm not sure how often I would play it. It looks a little stressful. Oh, it looks a little bit like it looks a little bit like Among Us. It's definitely the most fun with friends.
Most games are for me, even single player games. That's why I stream. It's because it's more fun with me to play games while hanging out with friends. I wouldn't compare it to Among Us. Oh. Well, looking at it, it seemed there were like different roles and stuff. Ooh. Oh, hey, Zygarde. It's a black Pokemon, 4 legs, glowing asshole. Okay. I'm gonna follow the doggo. Go up, no secret traders, no lying slash bluffing, etc. I can't run for some reason. I guess because then I would catch up with Zygarde. Yes, Emma, I'm still on Zygarde's tail. I seem to recall you saying you don't really enjoy lying slash bluffing games before. Yeah, lying is, when I was growing up, lying was worse than murder. So, like, my mom would help you bury the body, but if you lied about doing it, she would kill you. Herself. Lying was worse than murder in my house. What's up there, bud? I like his scarf. Whoa. Where are you taking me? Mysterious Pokemon carried you to the roof. Okay. Mysterious Pokemon. Oh no, Absol! Mega evolution time! Needs a Mega Ring. Lucario, be a bestie. Okay, I'll do it. I don't quite know what's going on, but I'll do it. Okay, it's really ugly. Can I put it somewhere else, like on a necklace or something? It looks like it's gonna fall off my wrist. It's too big for my small, dainty wrists. A remake of Sword and Shield is already on the Switch. Gonna be remade. That's not, that can't be true. You're lying. You're literally lying to me. Someone 8 months ago said they would like that on Reddit, but no. swear, now I know you're lying. See how far I could think to jump the shark with that one. Let's go! Mega Evolution! I'm so cool! For once in my life! I've never been cool ever! But now I am cool. Oh god, he's coming for me. What the fuck is that? Yippee! Check, thank you. You're so healthy with channel points. Jumped out of the way. Eagles? What are you talking about? They're 5 branches apart because they're not gay? I don't know if it's the same eagle, but if it is, she has a partner again. Oh, that's nice. I got some absolite. Absolutely. Yay, I did it! Why I gotta let you here in the first place? Because he knows I'm cool, obviously. And she's so shocked. She's like, they actually did that? Canada is trying to make all the eagles gay and then send them down to the statues to eat all our straight rodents. To our clean America. Oh no. Send them down to the States to eat all our straight rodents. Got it. I voted for that. Well, you know, I voted for gay frogs, so, you know. Hey, those fucking geese have been up to. Rogue Mega Evolution, got it. That's his idea? Absol! 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 Gay frogs for President of the United States 2028. I'd vote for gay frogs. Turn the friggin' frogs gay! Gay frog president, now! Shrimp! Heaven! Now! Shrimp! Heaven! Now! So funny. Yeah, look at all that money. Look at all that money. Look at all that money. Yeah. Money, money, money. For more clothes. I'm gonna be the most fashionable person in this entire game. Ugh. Hey, Floette. Tawny. Good morning, Tawny. More wild zones. Yes. It wouldn't be hard. Maybe. Oh, Vinny wants to talk to me, huh? Alright, chat, time to get boosted the heck up! What's up, Az? I will listen to the voice of Lumios. Sir, yes, sir. He's such a sweet old man. What, Tawny? Mm-hmm. I don't really want to use Absol. Ah, fine.
Yeah. It's definitely not great. Okay, Tawny, I have the Absol. Yeah, okay. Oh my god! There you go. Dang! Wouldn't care if they just blank out the name online. Yeah. Yeah, it does feel like overstepping. Alright, time to fight Tawny. Hey, Kenjamin! Probably gonna get mad at me if I don't use. It's probably gonna get mad at me if I don't use Absol. Hey, Black is also playing ZA. Got it. Yeah, it was their genuinely legal name. I was watching TV with my mom, so I wasn't there for that stream. But yeah, very funny. I saw it in the Discord. Alright. Wish I could stream on Tuesdays. If I could stream every day, I probably would. Here's the thing, it's not a new name. It's not popular right now, but it was very commonly used for decades. Well, even the word gay, like, it didn't mean, you know, homosexual. It just was happy. Yeah. People used to be named gay because it was like joy. Like people named, you know, their children Joy all the time. Oh yeah, there's new wild zones, right? 9 and 10 here. And shave and put on some makeup. Okay. Makeup. Makeup. Table. Table. That's what I know about that song. used to know all the words to that song. Really? Get a dentist appointment? Ugh, God, I hate dentists. Not like as people, I'm sure they're fine. I hate going to the dentist. I have had so many bad experiences with dentists because I have many mental health issues and therefore hygiene sometimes goes out the window. And if you find that gross, get out of my chat. I know you guys are chill though. Like, yeah, it sucks. Sometimes your mental health goes down and your self-care goes down with it, you know? And for me, I have big sensory issues around like brushing my teeth. So I have had a lot of I have been lucky. Like, I don't get a lot of cavities or anything, even without brushing my teeth. I don't know how. I literally am just lucky. Shocking. But yeah, so I don't brush my teeth as often as I should. And so like my gums are really sensitive, and I would like go to the dentist and they'd be like, okay, you know, like we're gonna try to like scrape the plaque off, right? And so I'm gonna like let me know. I wish I could share it, honestly. I take great care of my teeth for decades and I've had 6 teeth pulled. Oh, that sucks. I really hope I'm not gonna have to get wisdom tooth surgery. I hope it's just gonna be fine. Yeah, my dad for a while just had like a post because he just like never got the actual tooth to like put on it. Probably not good. I think he has it now, but yeah. Genetics are crazy. I wasn't counting wisdom teeth. No, I'm saying for me personally, I really hope I don't have to get my wisdom teeth pulled out, because basically every time I go to the dentist, they're like, just let me know if it hurts and I'll stop, right? And then I'll be like, ow, 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 and they like won't listen to me and stop poking me in the fucking gums. Nobody, like, they tell you that they're gonna listen to you and then they don't. My mouth is big enough for wisdom teeth, but then one wanted to crowd in anyways for no reason and threw off my whole fucking mouth. Oh, that sucks. I think I have enough space in there, but like my wisdom teeth still haven't come in, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, so I have not been to the dentist in years. I laughed when I got a root canal. I've had a tattoo lasered off my body and that hurt worse than a root canal. Jack is even more baby than I thought. My wisdom teeth grew in fine without impacting my other teeth, but then they apparently grew deep like literal talons and caused pressure impact. Ooh. Ow. Yeah, I'm really sensitive. And my gums are really sensitive too. Pokemon as guards? Gotta run away. I don't want to fight the Dedenne. Oh, okay. I literally just have to. I have to. Another choice that's not a choice. I had a root canal with no painkillers. Never let a dentist do that. Ugh. My wisdom teeth were out when I had them removed, so I was conscious, and I just heard the worst crack of my life, and then they pulled out tooth fragments. Ow. Ow. That's the worst thing I've ever heard. Ham, I'm horrified. I had 2 removed because one had a cavity and it was easy to take out. Now my mouth is asymmetrical. Oh no. Oh, that's... Oh. I don't like that. That's that might be the worst thing I've ever heard. Oh god, I can like feel that in my mouth. Welcome to the body horror stream. Yuck. 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 So my 20s, a dentist had to literally... Oh no! It kept dripping through their gloves! Oh god. Oh god. The feeling in my mouth. I can feel that. I can feel. Oh, I know what it would feel like to like file your teeth. Let you live the vampire dream. I know. Like what the heck? If I had really sharp canines, I would never let them file them. I'd be like, no, make them sharper. I mean, I do, see? You see? I got pronounced canines, but not that sharp. I used to cut my tongue all the time, and I didn't really know there was something wrong because they just kind of grew in that way. Okay, maybe that's, yeah. Yeah, maybe that's not great. Just round them out a little bit. We've never been in the same room before. It's with me now. I have it. He's my friend. You're my friend now. We're having soft tacos later. That you know of. The odds that all of you guys are one person and it's all me. The odds of my chat being one person are slim, but not impossible. Now I know that it's not me typing all these messages because I'm also playing the game, so... Black. Yeah, Jack's chat is just, it's just a beautiful one. We're all AI imagined by Jack's cell phone AI. We're your biggest fans, so we made multiple accounts. Alright, well, make more accounts then, because we need to get more viewers. We need more viewers so that we can get more. No! No! Siri, no! No! Don't do it! No! I need the human interaction. Even if my chat is just an amalgamation of AI. Ew. Actually, no, I wouldn't want that. I need you all to make like 5 more accounts so that we can have so many people in chat that I can get lifted to partner, because once I get to partner, then once I get to partner, then I can make a stream gang, stream club. What do we need for partner? Oh, I'm not actually asking for this. I can look, I guess. You gotta take the phone requirement off your chat. Do I have a phone requirement on my chat? Yeah, you're probably right though. I should do that. Where's that? Follower. Phone verification is off. Yeah, I'll turn off phone verification. Oh, you know why I think that was there? I think that was there when I kept getting follow botted. I may or may not have made an a music parody account. That's fine. I have to keep email verification on though. But for where is it? Contact, community analytics. Where's the thing? Here. No. Where's the thing? There's a thing. Achievements? Oh yeah, here. 6 streams on 6 unique days with an average of 75 viewers. So it's not happening for a long time. Yeah, 75 viewers average. You need to be a big streamer to get partner. I'm fine with being affiliate. Like I don't see any problem with this. I don't actually know what I think being partner really just gives you like a specific it gives you like a contact, like a Twitch contact or something, and the ability to make stream groups, like streamer groups. What are they called? Anyways, I think it would be funny to make a Bleck and Crew one if one of us got to partner. Not funny, but like fun. That's like crazy big. Yeah, it is crazy big. But you can make a, gosh, what are they called? Teams. A team. Happy Hamtaro! Wow, Hobby Hamtaro, thank you so much for the follow. That's not the joke account I thought you were talking about, Dad. An imposter! There is a Hamtaro in my stream avatars library. It's just extremely expensive. I will be suing. Imposter! Imposter ham! What does this guy want? Yeah, okay. It still says you require phone verification to send chats. I swear I fixed that. Wait, let me look. Oh. Yeah, okay, now it's off. Sorry. Alright, let's fight this guy. When did you create this slander account? Just now. I think actually just now. Identity theft is not a joke, Jim. Wait, this dude has way more Pokemon than I thought, and my friggin... my fire Pokemon's out! It's okay, we have Absol. Alive from the fabled Canadas, where we make all of the... Wow. It's so cool to have someone in chat, to have another person in chat from Canada. It's like we're twins. Wow, which one's which? I can't tell. There's two hams. Oh my god, and you got the pig too. There really are two hams. This hobby Hamtaro person seems pretty cool and totally real and not made up. Wow, I feel like such a popular streamer having people make fake accounts just for a bit. Litlio's so cute. I can't tell which ham is which. So funny. Which ham threw that? I don't know. Which ham is the real ham? Which one do I shoot? It's me, shoot me! Wait, no. I have to shoot the clone! Which one do I shoot?
Alright, we got a new... This guy's... I wanna die! Oh no! The adorable Hamtaro. I have the adorable Hamtaro, my namesake. I'm clearly innocent and lovable. See, that's how you know it's not me. Bro, what the fuck? He's coming for me. Little spurt. What else is in here? Oh shit! It's a shark! I was just curious what was here. Animort! It's an Animort. A Animorte. Oh gosh! What is this Pokemon? Excuse me? Who are you? Well, I guess that's Patrat's evolution. Watchhog. What the heck is a Watchhog? These freaking Pokemon. I've never even heard. Oh my god, that's a big snake. There's a TM over there though. I just want the TM. I just want the TM. I just want the TM. Oh, it's in the thing. Stop. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. Night Slash. It's like the angel version of Ham. You've been abducted by the Pokerot as well. I have. Cotton Candy Cloud Angel. And Angel Ham is no ham at all. What if I made angel wings and devil horns for the pig? That'd be really funny. Ham sandwich earlier was divine. What accessories? When is lunch? I don't know. We could have hats. Yeah, I know. I tried to say hello in Blockstream and... I don't know who that second person is. They had their settings blocking users without phone verification as well. It made me a sad Hamtaro. Keep the disease contained. Yeah, I mean, it's probably better. It discourages bots. I follow a streamer who made a night helmet just for me to use their
for their stream avatars. That's cool. It's very nice of them. I make custom stream avatars on my Ko-fi page. You can go to Ko-fi. Go to Ko-fi / Jack Draws Games, and you can get a stream avatar for my stream. Custom, just for you. Nobody else can use it but you. I also take requests when I'm doing art streams if you want to just be like, hey, can you make me X stream avatar? And I'd be like, yeah. You fool, you already made a cute little piggy. I did. But that's because I wanted it. But it's not exclusive to you. You know? Oh, right, she wants a Skiddo. Oh, that's not what I thought it was. The Deceiver is also a piggy. True. You didn't pick it yourself? You just got the pig? Oh, I think you get a random one as your starter. That's so funny. Get this Gengar. I forget how big boy Gengar is. Look at him. The Angelic Deceiver. Why does that sound like a magical girl? Why? What? Hobby Hamtaro, magical girl. Thanks, dude. Wait. Do I not have to unlock that? Mega Stone Emporium. Wait, I can just go there? Which Pokemon would keep the fashion good even when it's not Poke France? Because my drip is lit in this game. Yeah, I hope that in the next games they'll really listen to people. I wonder if Game Freak will learn from this and make more dress up in future games. I really hope so. Oh, wait. Yeah. Oh, these are expensive. This isn't the one that... This isn't the one that I was thinking of. Because later, there's a thing. Huh. Anyways, oh, I could get a Thunderstone though, and have Pixel evolve. Do I want to do that though? I don't know, I'll think about it. All the Pokemon are cars. It's like Mad Max Fury Road with Pokecars battling it out. It's very silly. Let me see if I had anything to sell. With Revavroom being an actual car Pokemon, this could happen. Well, but Revavroom isn't a car, he's an engine. So he got turned into a car. Tell me you wouldn't be at least curious to see that game if they made it. I would buy the crap out of that. Oh no, I would be very curious to see that game. Absolutely, curiosity killed the cat. That game would kill me. I hate parkour. They can make whatever and we all buy it. Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah. I'm just running around right now. Getting more stuff to sell later. That's one in a big circle. Where's that lady that needs floettes? Or flabebes? A mimic you what? What in the world are you saying? I have a red flabebe. Glenn got a tattoo that said "Mommy with other boobs," and they got top surgery. Excellent. Have a yellow. Oh, I get to keep them. I need more flabebe. I need a blue one, an orange one, a white one. I think that's all of them. So I had to be supportive when they showed us the tattoo. That's so funny. I was so relieved when they told us it was a bit. Oh my god. That's so funny. Gotcha. I wish I could have seen the surgeon's reaction, but he's the top surgery guy, so I'm sure he's seen it all. That's so funny. To subtract. They got tattooed on their titties and then cut them off. Which is a fantastic bit. And if I wasn't such a baby, I would probably do it too. Tattoos are nice. No. So stupid. Press the wrong fucking button. Haven't decided where I want to get my fuck yeah King tattoo. That's so funny. Wait, no. Oh. Can't wait to see it, Kenj. Tried to win a draw on Insta for a tattoo of Zorg on a conch shell that said homeowner, which would have been really funny until now. Because you weren't a homeowner? It just would have been true now, yeah. Yeah. Really wants me to use flying today. Oops. I've been spotted. Nice. I get so concentrated in these Pokemon battles. It's hard to yap while I'm focused. What you got? Pidgeotto. I wonder how much it would cost and what the healing process is like for a butt tattoo. Like, ow! That sounds painful, dude. First, you have to find someone willing to get in there. Yeah, true. I don't know if that's the easy part. I tried to switch out. It's not switching when I want it to switch. On Instagram on a laser reveal page, a butterfly on that exact spot. Rid of the healing and the actual process of getting it done. Yeah. Getting it there and then removing it. Gosh. I just had. Ugh. I see the drift. Where? Oh, there? Nice. I got the advantage anyways. I wish I didn't have to hold down the trigger. It kind of hurts. Wait, is there like a setting for that? I feel like there should be. see you, Black. No, I can't change the controls. Maybe I just need to use a different controller. I saw a thing up here. Light. Maybe not. Run around. Dang it! Skiddo! Fucking Skiddo is fast. Don't go anywhere, by the way. I know Black is live, but we're gonna finish playing for like 5 more minutes. Less. And then we'll go to the Black stream together, so don't go anywhere. I know what it says, but it's just a loading screen. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's alive! Yeah. Exactly. But who do I choose? Black isn't actually live yet. Choose me. Black is just loading. It's just a loading screen. So we'll go in a few minutes. In a few minutes we'll go. It's okay. You won't miss anything, I promise. They're just getting things ready. Collect as many of these tokens as I can. We'll be there in a few minutes. We'll be there as soon as the stream starts, don't you worry. Don't you worry, we'll be there when the stream actually starts. Let's see, is there anyone actually on the roof? No, but there are more quoits. There's quoits on the roof. They're gonna play the DLC of this very game. Points on the roof. Points on the roof. Any more coins I can get to before daytime. As many coins as possible. Gotta get rich quick. Gotta get rich. I can't get up there. No! Ah! There's slid off the roof. It's fine. Oh! I think I just have to win using these move types. There we go. Queue for the coffee. Any more coins? Who's there? Child, where did you come from? I'm gonna kick your ass, child. Abby! Wow, look, I'm double super against your fucking bee. Haha! Haha! Let's go! Victory! Ah! I've been hit! A hit! A most palpable hit! Ooh, look at all that money. I don't think we have time to fight Vinny. So I'm gonna sort of head that direction, maybe? I wanna go shopping. I wonder what 911 calls sound like in the world of Pokemon. Probably a mixture of Pokemon cries. He's robbing us with big bees! Oh, not the sirens, but like the actual calls themselves, yeah. Likely. Likely just like that. Alright, let's see what we can get before we go. I don't want shoes right now. I want more like clothes. That's cute. We'll get these. Cargo pants. We'll get the cargo pants. I'm gonna buy all of the clothing. I'm gonna be the most fashionable person ever with my cargo pants. Actually pretty cool. Gonna get these. Gonna use all my money on clothes. Gonna get all the clothes.
I'm gonna be so fashionable, chat. I don't know what happened, but we woke up and all the money was gone from the registers. What is he with Sharpie drawn all over their face? Got all of that. Alright, the rest I will do off stream. I know you guys are anxious to go change babysitters. So, we will head over there now. Alright, we're heading over. I'll see you, I love you. I love you. Rawr. I will see you on Wednesday for more Pokemon, but a different kind. With Penny. Alright, bye-bye!